a suspected illegal miner, has now been retrieved in Stilfontein in the northwest. 5 people have been rescued so far, with an estimated 4,500 still set to be underground. Community-led rescue operations to extract the miners are continuing today under the watchful eye of the police. But let's get you an update from community safety in the Northwest Province. Wessels Morweng is the MEC there. MEC, it's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on to the program. Let's begin here. The only presence on the scene is police. Why has there been no other government intervention to try and rescue these miners who are underground?
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity and greet the listeners who understand that the police, they are employees of government, so their presence there, they represent what we want to see happening as government. Because as government, we are very clear that we've got zero tolerance towards crime, and illicit mining has been on top of our priority to make sure we nip it on the bud. And so far, we are doing very well to make sure that we deal with this act of criminality, and we will try by all means necessary to protect our society from these dangerous criminals that are roving in our society.
One organization has marched to Pretoria today, to the Mineral Resources Department, to talk about addressing some of the policies around artisanal mining. And they've called this cutting off of water, medicine and food supply as a form of torture, using the lack of access to these life-saving resources as a weapon of war. They're calling it a humanitarian crisis waiting to happen. What's your response to that, MEC?
Look, we will do all means to make sure that we outroot criminality. And like the minister had correctly indicated yesterday, and I also following on her pronouncement, we will not succumb to any pressure, because I don't understand why this narrative that we are inhuman all of a sudden, because even those that came out of the mine whom their health condition was not in good state, we have provided a medicine to that effect. This was part of the plan of Operation Valumko to make sure that the miners do resurface. We have closed all the entrance and exit and make sure that there's only one exit. And communication was made to them prior that they must be able to come out of the mine so that we can be able to effect arrest. So those are some of the tactics that I don't think from where we're seated as government will want to succumb to them, because government did not send anyone underground to go and mine illegally. Now it's as if government have sent anyone underground. Government did not send anyone underground. We are not mincing our ways. We are going to continue in our quest to arrest those people. The police are waiting outside, family, making sure that anyone who resurfaces, they're going to arrest them. So far, when I spoke to the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant Kwena, he has indicated that 5 have resurfaced. We will wait patiently and make sure that we arrest all of them and we close this thing of illegal mining that is happening in the area of Klerksdorp. That is terrorizing the community.
Yeah, and MEC, you know, a number of things can be true at the same time. No one is denying the kind of toll that illegal mining has taken on many, many communities around the country where crime and intimidation are rife. But you're the community safety MEC, all right? Is it, in your opinion, the safest thing for the community to be the ones to go underground to try and retrieve these miners with no other help from any other government entities?
Look, we as government, we have communicated several times that the people must resurface. But when I spoke to the provincial commissioner, they are seated in a meeting to can be able to see to it how best they assist the situation. But we must emphasize that the police officers are not trained to go underground and rescue this miner, something that we are not going to be coerced to do as government, because the police officers, they are trained to investigate crime and to effect the arrest. Now, the sudden narrative that people want to change in support of these criminal activities, it's something that we are not going to succumb to. We are clear. The intention is to make sure that we deal with this matter, and then we deal with it once and for all. So the issue of of the pressure that the people want to put, it will honestly not suffice. That I can tell it with authority.
I'm sorry, I think I lost you for a second there, MEC, but I hope that your comment wasn't that we're trying to change the narrative around criminal activities.
No, I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm saying those that want to accuse the government of being inhuman and all that. We understand that South Africa is governed by the Constitution and everyone has a right to life. It is for that reason that we are also assisting those that are weak to go to various health facilities of government, and then from there we take them to various institutions where we are going to detain them and process them legally. But the intention is one, is to make sure that the plan works effectively and we arrest those responsible for this devious crime that is sabotaging the economy of the country. Not only sabotaging the economy of the country, but linked to that, there are a number of things. There's kidnapping linked to illegal mining. There are a lot of things that are illegal that are linked to illegal mining. They are always armed, these miners, something that I don't think the country can tolerate, and the law authorities in our country, we can't tolerate. We're not a weak government. We're going to stand up and fight against this thing. This is what the people want from us as the political leadership.
So MEC, let's say the worst case scenario unfolds in the Northwest. I mean, we're a mining country in many ways, many of our provinces, and the Northwest is our platinum belt. And we know that a lot of the ground is unstable in the areas where mining is so rife. We've seen sinkholes, for example, open up before in areas where mining has been going on for decades. So let's say the worst case scenario unfolds there in this area of the Northwest and the ground collapses. And these thousands of people are then succumbing to the worst case scenario. Would government be satisfied with its response at this stage?
I think I've lost you for a moment. You were trying to narrate the worst case scenario that can happen.
Correct.
And I lost you after that.
So my question is, if indeed the worst case scenario were to unfold, and the ground collapses on these 4,000 people, the response that we're getting from government now, how do you think that you would reflect on that response?
I'm going to investigate on this. I've always been to go and mine. Those mines were closed on a purpose that the geologists have indicated that we can't mine beyond this point. And you are quite right. Unforeseen natural disasters can happen, like the earthquakes, the sinkholes that you spoke to. That is for that reason that the authorities came to a conclusion that a particular mine needs to be closed. Now, a government can't be held responsible for people who voluntarily chose to go to a dormant mine.
But not everyone who's underground volunteered to go underground. We have spoken to a number of people who say young men and women have been trafficked underground and are underground against their will.
Yes, that is why I said to you that linked to these illegal activities, there are many things. Kidnapping of children, we found minors there that were taken against their will. It is for that reason that comprehensively we want to make sure that we close into this thing, we nip it on the bud, because linked to that there are various crimes. You can't rule out the fact that there's stock theft linked to that. People's cattle have been stolen, they have been taken underneath and all that. Children are taken there to go and mine against their will. That is why there's a comprehensive plan to deal with this thing. I'm not refusing that, but generally, at the helm of this thing is people who voluntarily went there and made sure that they mine illegally against the rules that the government have set. Now, this is the country. South Africa is not the banana republic; it's governed by law, and then we're not going to retreat as government, no matter how other people want to put pressure on government to say that the government must be able to consider certain things. I mean, when you send police officers there, I mean, you are putting them at risk, to be precise. So it's something that the government will not consider doing. What we are interested on is to effect arrest to those who are responsible, prosecute them, and make sure that they are sentenced. And then we comprehensively deal with this thing of illegal mining.
Certainly. MEC, one last question as we wrap up our discussion this afternoon. One of the organizations that have marched to Pretoria today, to the Department of Mineral Resources, talking about, and I don't think any of us need to be reminded of this, but talking about catastrophic levels of unemployment in our country. The miner that we spoke to off the record earlier, our reporter Rifuwe Seboko, spoke to him. He wanted to remain anonymous, but he talked about people being underground for 3 years, others for 5 years, all to put food on the table for their families. We are in no way trying to justify any kind of criminality, MEC, but I don't imagine that this is an industry that very many people will go into willingly. How much of this do you think is caused by desperation?
In most instances, I am always clear that we cannot want to sit and justify criminality. I mean, every day crime is being committed. People's cars are being hijacked. All those heinous activities you can think of. I don't even want us to arrive at that point that the issue of unemployment and all that. The government is busy with other progressive ideas of making sure they revitalize the economy. If there is anything, this illegal activity on their own, they are causing a loss of jobs, especially on the part of mining. In the areas of Rustenburg, we've had instances where the illegal miners stole cables that are transporting oxygen underneath, causing people to die. And the activities of selling the gold in an illicit manner, it is causing a serious sabotage to the economy. That on its own, it is causing a serious loss of jobs. So we can't want to justify criminality on the basis that the people are unemployed and all that. I'm going to refuse that, my sister, and I'm not going to agree to that, honestly speaking.
Wessels Morweng is the Northwest MEC for Community Safety. Thanks very much indeed for joining us this afternoon. It's one of our top stories we're tracking, and tomorrow we understand that police and defence ministers will be visiting that area there in Stilfontein, where those more than 4,000 illegal miners are still underground.